This Healthcare Power of Attorney and Living Will form is provided to you as a free public service by the Allegheny County Bar Association and the Allegheny County Medical Society. Now you might ask yourself, why would lawyers give away an important legal form? Why would they do that? Isn't that what they sell? These are good questions, and we thought about that too, but having a standardized endorsed form was more important than protecting our own interests. The Allegheny County Medical Society is involved because this form, a Healthcare Power of Attorney and Living Will, deals with medical and surgical treatment. Doctors and other healthcare professionals are the ones who will be reading these forms, so we needed their help to prepare them. Now, doctors and lawyers don't always agree, but on this they agree completely. Every adult Pennsylvanian should have a Healthcare Power of Attorney and Living Will that works under Pennsylvania law. And most people don't have one. So we work together to make sure that you have what you need to protect yourself and your family. How can you use these materials? You'll notice that the form and brochure are copyrighted, but that doesn't mean you can't copy them. In fact, we hope you do. They are copyrighted so that the form and brochure can't be sold for profit by anyone to take advantage of this public service project. And we don't want anyone changing the form without removing the endorsement of the two organizations. That's for your protection as well as ours, so you know you are getting what we agreed upon. This is the only form of Healthcare Power of Attorney and Living Will in Pennsylvania that has been endorsed by a medical society and a bar association. But you can copy these materials and give them to anyone you want. We hope you will. That's all okay. Want to know more? Call the Allegheny County Bar Association at 412-261-6161 to have a speaker for your group about this topic or other topics that may be of interest to you. We assume that you may be watching this on a computer, and if so, you can print the form and brochure to look at a paper copy. But you can also download the form and brochure and fill in most of the form on your computer, so you have a record of it and everyone can read it, in case your handwriting, like mine and many doctors and lawyers, may not be the most readable. If you can print this form and brochure on both sides of the page, the instructions on each page will automatically be opposite the page of the form that it talks about. If you can't print it on both sides, don't worry about it. Just line up the instructions next to the page of the form to which it applies, and that will work fine. The instructions in the form itself are numbered at the top of each page. Before you start, take a few minutes to read over the introductory materials at the beginning of the document. Hopefully, this and the form itself will answer most of your questions. What I will do is walk you through the form and talk about the choices you need to make. Let's turn to page 1. This is really the most important page in the form. This is where you appoint your healthcare agents, the people you want to make decisions for you if you can't make them for yourself. We leave space for 3 alternate agents. Who would you most trust with making decisions about your health and your life? Who knows your wishes and values best? Who would be the best decision maker for you? We leave space for all their telephone numbers and email addresses. Emailing or texting is often the quickest way of getting in touch with someone today, and getting in touch quickly may be really important. The HIPAA authorization next on the form is pretty technical, but we want your doctor or hospital to be able to talk freely with your agent so she can understand the medical situation and choices. Now turn to page 2 and lay the instructions for page 2 next to it. Read the instructions first and then the form. The top of page 2 lists the powers given to your agent. When you read this, you may say, wow, that's a lot of power to give to anyone. It is a lot of power. In fact, it's all the power you have yourself. But you're still in charge. You can always revoke your healthcare power of attorney or overrule your agent's decision. And if that decision is to withhold or withdraw life-sustaining treatment, you can overrule it without having to prove that you fully understand the situation. Pennsylvania law is very protective of human life. If any of the listed powers are ones you don't want to give your agent, you can cross them out and put your initials next to it. If you do that, though, discuss it with your doctor or lawyer to make sure it will work. This form covers all medical care, including mental health care issues. But if you have significant questions or preferences regarding mental health care issues and treatment, this form may not be the best form for you. Mental health care powers of attorney and declarations are covered by a separate statute. If this is an issue, I suggest you consult with your doctor or attorney about how best to express your wishes. Optional guidance for your healthcare agent. can be added in the next section. Use your own words to express your goals in making medical decisions if you had an end-stage medical condition or some other extreme situation. Is comfort most important? Preservation of your mental functions? Or living as long as possible the most important to you? What if you had severe brain damage or brain disease? The next section allows you to tell your agent how aggressively you want to be treated if you had severe Alzheimer's disease or a stroke. How important is the ability for you to interact with other people? Later, when you're ready to sign your form, you will initial whichever statement you prefer. The initialing is to make sure this is what you want. Page 3 of the form is your living will, your instructions to your doctor and agent if you were permanently unconscious or have an end-stage medical condition. Do you want aggressive medical care to preserve life for as long as possible, or is comfort and quality of life your primary goal? Notice we have added a layer of protection you will likely find in no other form. These instructions apply only if there is no realistic hope of a significant recovery. Just because you have a living will doesn't mean you don't want any medical care. It might help you make a significant recovery. This language is in there so that no decision is made about your care without thoughtful consideration of possible favorable outcomes of treatment decisions. Put your initials next to what best describes the care you want and the care you don't want. Like the agent's powers, you can cross out and initial any of the directions you don't like. But if you revise the form or cross things out, you should discuss these changes with your doctor or lawyer to make sure that you haven't confused things. Comfort is always a good goal, even if you say you don't want aggressive medical care in these extreme situations. That doesn't mean that care won't be provided to keep you comfortable. Any type of medical care can be given that is appropriate for palliative or comfort care. Often, antibiotics and sometimes even surgery are needed for comfort, rather than for the express purpose of extending your life. Artificial nutrition and hydration, or tube feeding, has been given a lot of attention and publicity, particularly in the Terri Schiavo case. While there was a significant discussion about her medical condition and prognosis, the primary debate was about who ought to make those medical decisions for her and what she would want those decisions to be. If Terri had completed one of these documents, most of the issues in that difficult case would have been resolved. Not all, to be sure, but we would have known for sure who she wanted to make the decision, and we would have known something about her wishes. But let's not overstate the value of any advanced health care directive. Difficult decisions will always be difficult decisions, especially if the medical outcome isn't clear. If you're unsure about this, I encourage you to talk with your doctor to understand its benefits and burdens, and consider discussing it with clergy to understand how it fits in with what you believe. How do you want your agent to use your instructions? Are your instructions a command, or do you want them to be guidance? How much power and responsibility do you want to give your agent? How much flexibility do you want to give your agent to make decisions for you in a variety of situations that you frankly can't predict? One of the most important limitations of a living will is that it is impossible to fully address a specific future healthcare decision, since the condition and the treatment alternatives can't be known in advance. If you already have a serious condition, you may want to have a more specific discussion with your doctor and your agent, and perhaps use a more specific and detailed form of Advanced Healthcare Directive or a Pennsylvania Order for Life-Sustaining Treatment, a PA POST form, which provides immediately effective medical care orders. Turning to page 4, please indicate your intent about organ donation. Do this so that your agent and family will know what you want. Of course, your driver's license may indicate whether you wish to be an organ donor, but this allows you to clearly indicate that you do not want to be a donor if that's the case, or if you want to limit the gift to transplant purposes, but not medical study, for example. Now it's time to initial your choices and sign the form. You will need 2 adult witnesses. A notary isn't required, but if you have a notary available, it adds authenticity to your document. And some states, like West Virginia, require notarization. The witnesses should observe you sign the document and initial each place it is required. Once you have initialed and signed the form, the witnesses should sign also. Now, make lots of copies, and make sure the people who need to have copies of the form have it. That includes primarily your doctors and your agents, and any other family members who you think should know about your wishes. Remember, the point is to communicate. If you don't give it to the right people, it doesn't do any good. And one more important thing. At the back of the brochure is a card that you should complete and put into your wallet, along with your driver's license and medical insurance cards. This tells people that you have an advanced healthcare directive and how to get in touch with your agents, your doctor, and your lawyer if you have one. If you've gotten this far, you've given yourself and your family a wonderful gift of power and guidance about your healthcare decisions. But you shouldn't stop there. When you give it to them, talk with them about your decisions and the reasons you made them. Make sure they understand the form, what the document says, and most importantly, what you want. That's what this is all about. And another thing, when you give them a copy of the document, ask them, do they have one too? Have they given the same gift of power, guidance, and conversation that you have? No adult is too young to need this document or have this conversation. In fact, almost all of the most difficult cases have involved young people, so they need this too. That's why this is so important.